Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of Showcase on Warframe. Now, I haven't really done a fist weapon yet, so I figured, why not start now? The Ankryos, I believe I've pronounced that right. Anyway, fist weapons, they're have incredibly short range, and they're mainly institute of DPS, so their damage usually isn't that high in terms of stats. It's their swing speed or attack speed that counts this time around. So yes, we got measly damage, no better than a Skana. And the critical chance is pretty good, 20%. And status is at 10%, so it's okay. So it's mainly critical. And DPS. So you've got plenty of critical that's in there, if you try hard enough with this weapon. But now, the question is, where do you get it? Well, it's pretty easy to get. You just go to your nearby marketplace. Go to the blueprint section of that weapon. And the resources to build it are pretty cheap. You got your 30,000 credits to get it, build it, I mean. And you need 9,000 nanospores, which is very easy to get. Same thing for salvage, 9,000 of that, and 900. Ooh, don't want to make that mistake again. 900 of nanospores and salvage, and then 600 ferrite. And plus 450 alloy plate, which you see I have way too much of. Devs, make something that uses alloy plate. Please. 2.6 million alloy plate doesn't disappear overnight. I'm trying to avoid getting more of it now. Alright, as I mentioned, it is a relatively short-range weapon, so you really gotta get in your opponent's face as close as possible. The good thing is, though, for all fist weapons, their stances are incredibly easy to perform. I'm not really huge in using the stances, because I'm not a very big melee person, but these melee weapon moves are pretty easy to do. I got the seismic palm here for the performance, so you can see all various shockwave moves. And then quick, heavy lunges towards your opponent, although they're a bit hard to aim sometimes. But oh well. Otherwise, it's pretty easy compared to most other weapons. But in terms of crowd control, going from target to target, it could be okay, could be better. I'll put it that way. In terms of all the fist weapons, I'm not particularly impressed by the Ankryos. I personally like the Obex myself, which I'll cover for another day, but Ankryos just never strike me as a very, valuable weapon. Even the Prime-wise, which we'll get into later in the video, doesn't really strike a chord with me at all. Because I put a lot of effort into my Ankryos. Not my Ankryos, my Obex. But yes, this weapon, I'm not really feeling it. So, while testing the plain Ankryos, we'll take it to level 30 and test it there. Now, for the plain one, I'm going to do a little experiment. For this one and the Prime, I'm going to have two different stances. This one, I have the seismic palm. I was looking at my pressure point, and reflex coil, and spelled strike. Increases spelled attack speed and damage, so that way I don't lose too much from spelled strike. True Steel is also on there to increase critical chance. I didn't bother using the critical damage. Instead I put Vicious Frost on. Plus you couldn't squeeze it on the other one. But oh well. And I believe this build here will at least suffice for the plain level 30 test, and, so we'll see. Anyhow, enough of that. Let's get to the test. Now, first targets, we're going to take some Grenier. Take these Arid Lancers, so about 7 of them, 5 of them, 5. And I'm going to put them level 40, because I don't want to go any higher than that. Alright, so now, you try and use the DPS on these enemies. This is an impact weapon, but you can see it's not too horrible. It's not excellent. But here's something else interesting now that I'm in a test area. You can see easily how these enemies can get sent flying. One nice thing about the Ankryos that you didn't get to see in the performance section is this thing just sends people flying. Like, literally. These guys take a tumble. They send them flying, and they're pretty much off stage and dead. Mind you, it's not really helpful in most stages, because, you don't have Death Pit everywhere. Well, it's not really Death Pit for us, it's Death Pit for them. But yes, pretty useful. And he's gone. Now, moving on to the MOAs. In terms of staggering, this would probably be very useful against them, because they all huddle in one group and attack you en masse. Put them at the same level, level 40. Now, this is an impact weapon, so it should do better. Yes? No. For some reason, it didn't really strike a chord with hitting these enemies and killing them very quickly. It took more hits, per average per MOA, than it did for the Grenier. Where the Grenier took anywhere from 4 to 5 to 6, MOAs I'm hitting 5 to 6 to 7 times. Slightly longer. But oh well. In terms of damage, it did okay. Did okay. But, would you ever use this against MOAs in a large group like this again? No. I would not. Now, let's begin the final test against Infestation. I'm going to grab some chargers. Grab about 10 of them. Yeah, 10. Put them at the same level as the other two groups. Now, this weapon's made up in DPS, and luckily, sending enemies flying is pretty amusing in a large group like this. You suddenly get a boom, and you just burst out of them all awesome. You know, like your superhero style. Just suddenly everyone's compiled on top of you, and boom, they all go flying out. Very amusing, but not very powerful. But yes, I don't really know how many weapons could do this successfully, you know, send enemies flying like that. Some big weapons do it, but they're rather slow, and doesn't happen very often. Ankryos though takes advantage of that. Now here we are, the Ankryos Prime, the upgrade. This weapon is in fact discontinued now, as was part of the Rhino set, I believe. So the only way to get it is off another player, or you gotta really hunger down and wait until he comes out of the vault. When that is, we don't know. I'm still waiting on Ember at this point. Now, you can see that there's not really a huge change in stats. Yeah. As we see here, there isn't a whole lot of change. Well, there is a bit of change, but it's not that dramatic. Attack speed just goes up, which is nice, but the critical stays the same. Damage always goes up very slightly. Very. And the status goes from 10 to 15. And then the wall attack, etc. The stuff that no one really uses too much. Yeah. Minimum upgrade. Alright. Now, as you see, I am not taking this to an ultimate build. I don't think the Ankryos Prime is really worth an ultimate build. Compared to all the other melee weapons out there, I don't think the Ankryos is worth it. That is my opinion. I'm not going to bother wasting a lot of time and forma putting into this. Because as you'll see, I'll just change a few minor things, we see how it does. Now, we can see I did change my size of factoring wind. I didn't upgrade it, but no matter. For the Fury, though, I put on that for more attack speed, along with the Spell Strike again, and heavy trauma and pressure point. So as you see, I built for more of a strength build this time, instead of a critical. I'm putting out a lot more than the critical damage from the previous Ankryos, so I think it kind of counteracts that. Could it be better? Yes, I could put on full critical build, and it'd be slightly better, but that's what it is now. Now, we'll go against Grenier. We'll take 5 or 7 of them, yep. Now, instead of level 40, we're going to take them to level 55. Not that much of a grade higher, to be honest, but it is still much more powerful. But as you see here, the dynamics of the battle changes greatly. Yeah. A critical build wouldn't really fix this a whole lot. No. It would probably change the nearly 15 hits to probably 10 or 8, but still, that's a lot of extra mods. That would be an ultimate build in my opinion, with everything else that's on it. And given those numbers, that's why it's not really worth it. It's the damage is not there because the DPS isn't as fast as the other fist weapons. Now, what can I say about this? It's just slow. It's the slowest fist weapon, I should say. Actually, I'm not too sure about that. I'm not sure the Furax or this is slower. They're kind of equal in my opinion. And I have an equal opinion on the Furax. But that's for another day. I think that's like 4 weapons I gotta cover on that. But against the MOAs, as you saw, I dropped their level down to 50 to make it more manageable. Now, as we see, I'm not sending anyone flying. I'm guessing this is a stance of the result of the seismic palm, maybe. My initial impression now was that it was the fist weapon itself doing it, but no, it was my seismic palm, perhaps. So, what we learned. Always use seismic palm with your fist weapons. Always. Okay, with the chargers, we're going to take on 7 of them. Level 50 yet again. Alright. Going against the Infestation, still not a huge issue. You still just pummel right through them. The DPS will carry you through, but still there's much better weapons for doing this. There, I managed to do a few of the stances, and that's great with the Fracturing Wind stance, but it's there. Oh well. Time to move on to the pros and cons of the Ankryos. On the pro side, well, it's got decent DPS. It's got a decent, good critical build, I should say. Also, the seismic palm stance is pretty awesome, sends enemies flying. And only that stance. But I think that's kind of it. On the con side, its damage is mediocre. Its reach is incredibly poor, given a fist weapon. And the Prime version is no longer available casually. You must buy it, or trade it. You know, you get the idea. So yeah, pretty big cons there. Going on to the score for the Ankryos and Prime. Actually, I'm more like rating the Prime version, to be honest. But anyway, damage gets a 4 to 10. Yeah, the damage really wasn't there. The DPS really didn't help a whole lot. Reach? Well, no surprise, it's a 1 out of 10. This is the shortest range weapon, so it gets the biggest penalty for that. Design, I give it a 3 out of 10. I can see what they're trying to do, but compared to the other fist weapons, I think this one kind of falls flat on its face a bit. But it does get up, but very slowly. You get what I'm trying to say about it? But whatever. For speed, though, it's pretty good. It's 7 out of 10. Not the fastest fist weapons, but it really leaves every other weapon category in the dust. Misk, I gave it a 4 out of 10. Of all the fist weapons, I feel like this one may be the worst. And this one, the Furax, it's hard to kind of tie for that, in my opinion. But in total, the Ankryos gets 19 out of 50, which is bad. Mainly because the shortcomings of being a fist weapon is the main issue here. But oh well. If you wish to build upon this weapon, well, what you need to do is pretty much buff up that critical chance. So make sure you have your Organ Shatter and your True Steel. And also have a Blood Rush. Blood Rush will probably do well on this weapon, given that you need multiple hits to kill enemies, and you'll get that combo counter up quickly. So definitely Blood Rush. Now, and other than that, it's hard to tell with this weapon. I don't think it's really... The focus build is a bad idea, given how many hits you gotta land, because you'll drain your energy too quickly. So, other than that, put some elements on. You know, status and elemental damage combos. Those things. But yes, otherwise increase your swing speed, and you should be fine on that. That would be kind of like an ultimate build in my mind. But oh well. I'd like to say that all I have to say on the topic, but oh well, that's been showcased for today. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Want to see a particular weapon here on Showcase? Leave a comment down below, and it might be the next weapon I choose. I'd like to thank you again for watching, and I'll tell you all to take care out there.